Good morning and welcome to Political Voices on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. Political Voices is a session of comments, interviews, and analysis of current issues on how it affects and shapes the world around you. Today is Wednesday, the 18th day of September 2019, and the time in the studio is 3 minutes past 9. My name is Alex Obodo. Today on Political Voices, our focus is on President Buhari's new Economic Advisory Council, the concerns, reactions, and prospects. But before we get into the conversation, we have matters arising from the polity. President Muhammadu Buhari has dissolved the Special Presidential Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property as currently constituted with Okoy Obono-Obla as chairman. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice has been directed to immediately take over all outstanding investigations and other activities of the panel. The panel was established in August of 2017 by the then acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, to investigate specifically mandated cases of corruption, abuse of office, and similar offenses by public officers. The Enugu State Government, Enugu State Governor, His Excellency Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, has approved the second batch of nominees for appointment as commissioners in Enugu State. The list include Honorable Matthias Afwaramadu Jr., Honorable Uchechukwu Ogbonna, Mrs. Mabel Chinwabo, Mrs. Adanna Kene Oyawune, Professor Uchenna Eze, Barrister Peter Okonkwo, Chief Militus Ezugwore Eze, Mr. Obikal Kama, Mr. Ogonneibe, Dr. Surveyor Victor Chukwuemeka Nnam, and Professor Anthony Ugochukwu. Of course, the announcement, signed by the Secretary to the State Government. And finally, the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said that all agencies he supervised always follow due process in the award of contracts and other critical matters, contrary to recent press report. The Office of the Vice President was reacting to a report that President Buhari had directed Mr. Osinbajo to seek approvals for agencies under his supervision. The report from some newspapers, said that the President Buhari directed Mr. Osinbajo to seek presidential approvals for agencies that are under his supervision, although the law setting up the agencies stipulate that the President is empowered to give final approvals. The report said the provisions were not strictly followed during the first term of Mr. Osinbajo. Of course, there are a few other issues coming up, but we will get into our conversation. But we'll have to remind you that we'll have our social media panels through which you can join this conversation. We are live on Facebook, 925 Dream FM. You can join us, drop your comments on our wall on the live transmission, and we'll have our WhatsApp line 0902 002095. We are also on Twitter, that is Dream925FM. That's our Twitter handle. Stay with us. President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday constituted an Economic Advisory Council, EAC, dissolving the previous one, led by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. The presidency said that the new team is made up of Professor Doyin Salami as chairman, Dr. Mohammed Sagagi, vice chairman, Professor Ode Ojowu, member, Dr. Shehu Yahaya, member, Dr. Iyabo Masha, member, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, member, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, member, Dr. Mohammed Adaya Salisu, secretary. He's also senior special assistant to the president, development policy. And there are reactions trailing the constitution of this advisory panel. And some people are saying that this is more like taking responsibility, that something hasn't been going well. What we'll find out from the team of analysts in the studio this morning. We are joined by Dr. Augustine Okolie. He's a policy management consultant and a political analyst. Good morning.
Alex, good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
And we also have in the studio Comrade Ken Ofoma, Secretary NUJ Southeast Zone. He's also a political analyst. Good morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Dr. Okoli, I'm sure you've seen and heard and have also gotten some reactions on the new Economic Advisory Council. What was your first reaction when you saw that of course there is a new advisory council and then the members of that council?
Yeah, Alex, thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians. I want to say that I will agree with the former governor of Central Bank, now the Emir of Kano. He said, and I also concur, that this is the most important appointment that Mr. President have made. He said in his second term, but I said all over. Also, this is also the second most important decision Mr. President have taken. The first was his diplomatic move in South Africa. We are not just all critics. We agree with him and even praise him when he does the right thing. I think he's getting things right. I think this is a kind of assemblage of the potpourri of who is who in Nigeria. You can see that it looks like it has lost confidence in the economic management team, the one that it dissolved to institute this one. I don't want to go into the details of whether it has lost confidence in the former chairman of the economic management team, the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. But I would like to say that whoever helped Mr. President to organize and arrange and compile and appoint these eminent people has done a good job and deserves a commendation. My initial impression is that where were these guys when things are going wrong all these days? Where have they been? So these guys exist and are in Nigeria, and things are going so bad as if we lack men and women. Coming away from situating them, there's no gainsaying that if you go through the profile of the men and members of this economic team, whose essential duty is to advise government, particularly Mr. President, on economic policy issues. And they have supposed to have quarterly meetings with Mr. President to brainstorm and show direction about the issues concerning economy. I also learned that they should be having monthly meetings to keep a pace with step of economic direction of the country. Their milieu and their menu and their terms of reference is big and big enough. Remember, previously, the former president Obasanjo said that, fine, he is one of those who helped to get Buhari on board for three major reasons, but he can find out that he's not good in economy. Remember, Mr. President is just the captain of the ship.
Sure.
He should appoint all these his aides, and you can see that these members, incidentally, all of them are economists. I was looking to see other, management teams, like economic managers, people from the administration and management from them, but all of them have PhD in economics. Most of them have first class in economics, particularly our own dear Professor Soludo. I'm surprised he was not the chairman of the council. But be that as it may, when you go through the profile of them one by one, you see how they fell into the appropriate positions in that panel.
All right, we will have time to, so you help us talk us through some of the profiles. Comrade Ken Ofoma, I'm sure this advisory council was not one you were expecting on Monday when it was announced. I mean, you could be expecting other things from this government, but definitely not what you would call abroad a bipartisan, open field council. It involves people from all divides. What was your first reaction when you saw the list and the caliber of men in the advisory council?
I must confess it was like a bolt from the blue. Like you said, most Nigerians, majority of Nigerians, were taken by surprise. This is unlike President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. This is unlike the body language we are used to. This is unlike a government that is so up to date, a government that is so conservative, a government that does not listen to advice, a government that is so self-consumed, a government that people infer is so nepotistic, a government that gives impression that it does not care about whether the economy is collapsing or not. And so when this kind of move came, it took a lot of us by surprise. And so, yes, on the face value, I would say it is commendable. On the face value. Now, but holistically, when you begin to do critical analysis, you now begin to ask yourself, if you have this caliber of people, men, how I hope, or could you imagine, can you stretch your imagination to a situation where this caliber of men were appointed as members of the Executive Council, manning the various critical sectors, like the economy, budget and planning, and what have you, so that they will be the people executing. You know, for me, it's like, it may appear like putting fresh wine in old wineskin. One thing is for these people to advise. Another thing is the people that will implement. So that is, we are hoping that the obvious disconnection that will not be a problem. Because when you have people on advisory capacity, first of all, they meet with the president, report directly to him. Will the president understand the recommendations and analysis of the economy? Or will he still subject it to another special advisor who will still water it down? Or if the president minutes to the ministers, the appropriate ministers, to implement, will the ministers, do they have the capacity to understand and to implement accordingly? You see the problem? But when you have people like this in Nigeria, and if any government really want to be bipartisan, you go for head hunting and pick these people and bring them inside your cabinet. That is one on one side. Then on the other hand, there are already insinuations that this government can hardly do away with appointing people irrespective of where they come from, without trying to be afraid of giving them free hand. So now, you remember when the board of NMDC was set up, the president made his chief of staff, Abba Kyari, as a member of that board. A lot of people raised eyebrow. Now again, in this same committee, he made his personal secretary or his personal staff, talking about Dr. Mohammed Adaya Salisu. He's the senior special assistant to the president on development policy. He made this man the secretary of this Economic Advisory Council, meaning he wants to be watching over them. Secondly, the chairman of that council, Professor Doyin Salam, is said to be an in-law to the chief of staff to the president. Yes, so these are connections.
But Comrade Ken,
no, I'm just saying
is Doyin Salami qualified to be in this panel? I mean, even if it was another president that appointed or set up this committee.
This has always been the argument.
No,
Well,
no.
Let me answer you in a different way. Let me answer you in a different way.
Is he qualified? Just because of time.
Let me answer yes. You can say that he's a Nigerian, irrespective of where he come from. He's qualified. Yes. And are there people who are more qualified? I don't know about that. Now, if you begin to say everybody appointed, whether they are qualified or not, you can now stretch it to appointment of security chiefs.
No.
Are those people qualified? But people are still crying that why do you appoint people from one section of the country and leaving the other section? But that is, by the way, like I said,
Comrade Ken Ofoma,
this is a welcome development.
You are from the southeast.
Yes.
And if you appoint your in-law to a panel, the first question will be whether your in-law is qualified. Not necessarily because he's your in-law, isn't it?
So the first question is, are there other better qualified? And are there other Nigerians?
But this one is at the discretion. But it's at the discretion.
And that is the point
President.
I'm trying to. I don't know what you are missing the point I want to like. I'm not saying he's not qualified. That is not the issue. If you say is he qualified, you are now overlooking the other salient points that many Nigerians are already pointing at. I don't know. It's an in-law.
You know what?
That is fine. But we expect them to do.
We'll come back to this line of thought. We'll come back to this line of thought.
The taste of the pudding is in the eating.
Yes. We'll come back to this thought. But I'd like Dr. Austin Okolie to talk us through some of the credentials of some of the members of this advisory council. Because some people are hearing their names for the first time, but those who know that some of these men are time-tested, or whether they are not. I mean, he should tell us. Dr. Okolie.
Yeah, I cannot quickly go to profiling the members of the new economic team before I make one or two remarks. I can see why Ken is emphasizing, because we are doing politics. We are talking about spread, balance, even constitutional area where we say, every catchment area have to be captured. As I try to praise the panel, I do not take anything away from any of them. I was even saying, where were they when the government were constituting those they say they know? I want to bring on board those I know. You know that the economy is run and managed through basic two wings. The financial or the fiscal aspect of economy, where the Minister of Finance is holding sway. Then the monetary policy directives, where the Governor of Central Bank holds sway. That brings about the balance in economic management. I have heard little of two of them, but I'm happy that that mistake they made in the first tenure, whereby they took away all the critical ingredients of the Ministry of Finance, like the budget and planning. They took it away and left the Minister of Finance with empty carcass of the ministry. But now it has been brought back. And what I do not know is whether the person flying the kite has the capacity to be able to articulate and bring on board and bring to bear our economic realities to the current situation and be able to manage effectively from budgeting to implementation of financial policies. Let me go back to your question. When you want to look at them one by one, my earlier recommendation, not because he's from here, or our own man, the former governor of Central Bank, you can see that most of them has either worked as either director or a member of the Central Bank. But this is somebody who is also a member of the panel. But maybe because of where he's coming from, like you see, the chairman of that panel or that committee is from the Southwest, Professor Doyin Salami is the chairman. Then the deputy chairman or the vice chairman, Dr. Mohammed Sakagi, Professor Ode Ojowu is also a member. Dr. Yabo Masha, a member. Professor Chukwu Masolodo, like I mentioned earlier, is also a member. There's another person there, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, who all of us admire and see almost on daily basis, coming out using the social media, using the regular media, using the electronic media to carry out financial analysis of what it's supposed to be and hitting punches where they're supposed to be. So now he is now a member of government. Then I think their aide, and Dr. Mohammed Adaya Salisu, the secretary. Going to look at them. For instance, basically they are advisory board, and you see, as an advisor, you can give 10 advices, and you will take just one and implement. There's no hold bar. You see, advising is different from when you are a member, a core member of the government, like a minister. Also, that was why I think Ken was saying, why didn't they just constitute a member of government? But it depends on the policy and what the government wants to do. Some executives, chief executives, do not want too much grammar and too much, technicalities. They want somebody who will break it down. Just like I suspect that was the reason why the senior special assistant to the president on development is there, to be able to interpret and take records and be able to sit one-on-one. But I worry for one thing. I don't know whether it is true about the impairment, hearing impairment of our commander-in-chief. I don't know whether, since they sit with him or they sit in panel with other aides, so when they now try to advise and bring back all those recommendations, somebody will be able to break it down and use the language and the whatever color so that you'll be able to digest and get it proper. Because sometimes you can give advice, if the person you're advising do not understand the major, critical component of your advice, it will, left unattended to. Then the second one is the issue of Mr. President telling Nigerians that the minister should go to the chief of staff if they want anything done, if they want any, they need his advice or whatever commitment, they should go to the chief of staff or they go to the secretary of government. Thereby, in my own terms, outsourcing, concessioning the core duty of the person who is the CEO of Nigeria.
But do you think the president sees it that way? Yeah, maybe he's looking
at.
Of
course, that is the way it is, because I don't know any other way. Because these things are silent. We know that chief of staff is the alter ego of either the governor or the chief of staff or the president. Sorry. So, but when he comes out as a pronouncement on the day of inauguration, that look, gentlemen, the world, Nigerians, if anybody wants to see me, go and see chief of staff. I think that was what he was saying. That was what was ringing bell alarm in my head, because he didn't say it. It is implied. Chief of staff signed for the president. He, appoints for president. He makes appointment on behalf of the president, at least at the approval of the president. So let me go to that profiling. Now, Salami is a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos Business School. He's, in fact, versed very well with economics, PhD in economics, have been in the practical, in the field, and in the classroom. So we have tested both the teaching and the imparting of knowledge, and also the practicing. Salami, who have gone to school mainly in the UK and Nigeria, so his qualification is not in doubt. Bismarck Rwani, we all know him as the CEO of Financial Derivatives and financial person. Almost all of them have something congruent. All of them are almost bankers. Either they work in the Apex Bank or in the commercial banks or in the development banks. So they are all bankers, they are all economists. That was also part of my worry, because I think that in management and economic teams, some other people from the management circle, because management is different from economics. So you theorize, the management are people who apply it. So, but since what they do is to advise, then I think it holds way. Then Chukwu Masoludo, like we all know, was a former governor of Central Bank. He is a first class economics, first degree, master's degree and PhD first class, best graduating student. Is one of the best things that happened to Nigeria in terms of economic management, even though some people found some little gaps in his introduction of polymer notes. I think that was the only thing somebody can say, the polymer notes over the current paper we're using. That was the kind of criticisms I got. That was all. But as far as we are concerned, I think he is eminently qualified, even to head the panel and to even drive it. He tried to become governor in Anambra State a couple of times, but he could not succeed. I think the other people, Shehu Yahaya and Madam Yabo, and Ode Ojo are all economists. Okay. So their background is economists, and now it is time for them to walk the talk. Right. But I don't know about implementation. Okay. I still worry about trying to transmit the advice into economic reality.
All right. Comrade Ken Ofoma,
yes.
Quickly before we hear from the callers, do you think that this move is a testament that whatever it is that the vice president headed was not really biting and chewing, like they would say in a biology class? It wasn't biting and chewing. It wasn't really grinding out the results needed for the economy to start working like a real meal.
The first impression one we had is that possibly the professor was overrated during the first term. That was why, perhaps, maybe in addition to his health challenges, the president, during the beginning of his first term, that was why he assigned a lot of responsibilities to his vice, the renowned professor, but he's a professor of law. You remember, he gave the vice president the leeway to head the economic team. Even for many months, many people did not know that there is somebody called Dikwa Olu, Dr. Dikwa Olu, who was sick, or is still. Or then he was designated as the chief economic advisor. But from almost 1 year, nobody knew about him, because he was, assigned to the office of the vice president. And then, I don't know other members of that economic team, apart from the vice president and his advisor, Dikwa Olu. So there was no, at the level of the presidency, there was nobody advising the president on economic policies of government. So he entrusted all that responsibility to the vice president, plus other social investment scheme and all that and all that. But now it appears he's stripping the vice president of all those responsibilities. Perhaps because in the last 4 years plus, we did not make any appreciable progress in terms of advancing the economy, other than going to the market to share 10,000, which I have been shouting that this is a humiliation. Is a reducing, a professor to the level of professors are people who profess ideas and solutions to critical challenges facing nations, but not to the point of going to share money. This is something that SCA to the vice president can be doing, not vice president himself. That is what. So now the president has dissolved the economic team under the vice president, and has now set up this economic advisory council that will report directly to him, which means he's taking charge. For me, it's a sort of, if you like, a vote of no confidence on the vice president and his economic team. And for me, it also has political effect. Because if people are now thinking about his succession, that, vice president will succeed, this has also shown that he did not handle that responsibility very well. Mm-hmm. He has also dissolved the other committee headed by Obla. It was set up by the vice president, that committee. Then, of course, Obla himself is faced with a lot of corruption allegations. Now, is the hunter becoming hunted. Now, so these are the things. Now, what is left with the office of the vice president is that statutory duty of heading the National Economic Council, the Board of Governors, and the Minister of Finance. And so that is the situation we have now. Okay. So the interpretation might be that the vice president, given the responsibilities he was given in the first term, did not meet the expectation of his boss. Okay. That is why he's not stripping him of those responsibilities.
All right, then. This is Political Voices on 92.5, Enugu's Dream FM. This morning, we are looking at the Presidential Economic Advisory Council recently put together by President Muhammadu Buhari. In the studio this morning is Dr. Augustine Okolie, a policy management consultant and political analyst, and Comrade Ken Ofoma is here too, Secretary NUJ Southeast Zone and political analyst. We will be taking your comments and calls from all the platforms. To have the WhatsApp 0902-0020925. Our phone line still is 0809-8888-925. Drop your messages on Facebook, Dream 925 Dream FM for Facebook, and on Twitter it is Dream 925 FM. Hello. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location? David, you're welcome.
Yes, sir. Nigeria in trouble. Nigeria in trouble, I have to say, that the chief of staff have made the prime minister of the country because of the health challenges of our president. But that notwithstanding, my concern for this team has been established. How is their empowerment? How are they being empowered? What is the template for them to deliver the goods already given to their hands to deliver to Nigerians? How are they going to? Are they just chewing without biting, or just giving us a recommendation that will something be implemented? I don't know how their recommendation or anything they made as a recommendation is going to fail in Nigeria. It's just to make a suggestion. So my advice again to Chukwuma Soludo and the rest of the school team is to make Nigeria to see the light again, because we are already in trouble. We are seriously in trouble. I didn't know what in fact we are just watching.
All right, thank you so much, David. Hello, good morning. Call us on 0902-0020925. Hello, good morning. What's the name and location? Sorry, dear, what's the name and location? All right. Okay, then why not tell us your name and make the contribution?
All right, my contribution is the economic team are very excited about if the president can take a big hand to operate, it can listen to them. And a professor it's a plus. And these guys are going to add greater results. You and the studio.
All right, you didn't tell us your name. I guess it sounded like it was deliberate. All right, then. I think we'll take a message from Facebook. One caller that says, I expect and hope for the new Economic Advisory Council to have a positive change in our economy that will truly reflect on the Nigerian populace. But my concern is, how ready is this panel prepared to take responsibility without blaming the PDP for their failure if they fail? All right, then. Iken Augusta says, the Economic Advisory Council formation is outstanding and men of economic icon. But remember the 7 wise men of Jonathan's era. What was the result? Also, the Anti-Corruption Committee headed by Professor Sage in the first tenure of this administration. What was the result? Only fear of God can make them perform excellently. Okay, we'll move ahead now. Engineer Chukwuemeka Elochukwu says, good morning, gentlemen in the studio. My take on the topic is the new Economic Advisory Council that was constituted by the federal government is a welcome development in the sense that the caliber of people that made up the Advisory Council are people with great vision for this country. I'll advise them to always come up with vibrant issues that will strengthen the unity and progress of this country. We'll take more calls now. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location? Adonike, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, just like the court have noted, the thing is the welcome development. You know, it's one needed, especially at the point in time when Nigeria is in the need of sound policies to be made so as to propel our economy. But the thing is, the thing is just for, to cover up for the shabby policy done in the selection of the president. it's also to cover up the shabby politics done in the selection of a minister, because this egghead also have been the people that, who occupy the teaching cabinet, who should be giving the president direct advice. So they are just like, on-hand advisors, in the sense that after selecting the advice from the teaching cabinet, they want to now speak for the economic sphere. But anyway, better late than never. Their semblance is.
All right, then. Thank you, Adonike. Call us on 0902 0020925 or 0809 8888 Is the President Buhari's new Economic Advisory Council. That's our focus this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
What's your name and location?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Good morning.
My name is Odazi. I'm reaching you from Iran. Just to say this beautiful morning.
You're welcome back,
Hello to
Adaze.
my friend, Dr. Curry.
Good morning.
For the first time in your life, at least it does something very, very positive. I am sure you.
And this is the first time they are doing something positive.
Thank
you.
This line is becoming more difficult every day.
Oh.
So far, so good. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Adaze.
I'm very happy about the team. All of them are well-finished professionals. All of them running there too. So we know they are capable, we know where they are coming from, and I'm glad that is here. I'm very happy about that. And there was no kind of political movement per se. Thank you. These are the kind of appointments required. But having said all this, I wouldn't buy the idea that Osibanjo has done poorly. No, he's done fantastically well at his level. So this trader money came up just in time, because that was during electioneering, and you want to win the election, you go to the masses. Yeah, that is what he did, and that was kudos. In fact, he was overworked. So to say that he's being undercut by the president, I won't buy that idea, and that is not fair on the Osibanjo or Mr. President himself. Thank you. God bless Nigeria. Have yourself a beautiful day.
And you too, thank you so much for a call, Adaze. It's 0902 0020925 or 0809 8888 Hello, good morning. What's your name and location?
I salute you, my brother.
Emeka, you're welcome.
Brother, thank you. All of you have done well in your analysis. Then my own question is this. We, Mr. President, need the advice of this economic team. We need to take the advice because we know the person of President Muhammad Buhari. He does what he likes to do. And it's true that these people have been appointed by him, or they're chosen by him. But will he listen to whatever counsel they will give to him? And why is it that the finance minister is not in that team, and the central bank governor is also not in that team, if they want to make progress in this country? And to me, well, it's good, but why and also the northerners are dominant in that team? You can see that it's only Professor Soludo that is not from the north.
All right. Emeka, thank you. We'll come back to the studio and tie a few things up, but I'd like to connect whatever they have said with the question I'm going to ask now. Some people are saying that the big investors in Nigeria should have been part of this advisory council. I mean, if the Dangotes and the Otedolas, some people are saying that, I mean, you should get them on board because they understand the world economy. They trade internationally. And this kind of advisory council should have been something they should be part of. Do you share that sentiment, Dr. Kule.
I do not share that sentiment. This is a policy economic advisory team for Mr. President. Those ones are called or referred to as stakeholders. Once in a while, stakeholders are called and they have roundtable. They have meetings so that they make their input about the areas that are not doing well. If you look at the callers, their observations, you will see that everybody's worried about implementation. I also noticed there's a gap, there's a missing link. I don't know who is the coordinator of the economy. You see, during the time of Jonathan, granted, we have a very vibrant economy. Somebody was at the hand coordinating the various arms of economy. Like I mentioned earlier, the fiscal aspect of the economy is one wing, then the monetary aspect of the economy is also another wing, the central bank and the Ministry of Finance. So I don't share the optimism or the sentiment that both of them should also be there. They are the implementers. I think whatever the president, all these people are presidential aides. Whatever advice or whatever information Mr. President gets, then he will be able to now direct to the implementers of the economy. That is the minister. These people are from the presidency. They are presidential aides. The two things that are critical now, I think Dr. Adam Adaze tried to highlight it and disagreed with me that, or us, that Mr. President taking away so many economic issues and duties from the Vice President is a kind of a vote of no confidence. I think Ken highlighted that. I don't know whether it is a vote of no confidence. I don't know whether it is political, trying to say, oh, it can never take over from me, because it doesn't show confidence either. Because at this critical time, everybody believes that the economy has failed. There's no need about playing politics about it. Or even those who are admiring Mr. President are getting the bite from the economic failure. So this time around, we have come to a reality. Like I mentioned earlier, there are two things Mr. President has done right. Is his two steps about South African misbehavior and this particular economic want to checkmate the downturn of economy. So for me, there need to be a coordinator. I have not seen the coordinator, not the minister, not the governor of Central Bank, and not even Mr. President, since Mr. President have directed to Chief of Staff, not even the Chief of Staff. Because if Mr. Chief of Staff has been there, then I know that he's there to coordinate. There need to be a coordination. When all this plethora of advice and pieces of advice come, then somebody have to coordinate it, and at the appropriate time, timeousness, you have to use what you get at the appropriate time, then deploy it, and try to solve an economic issue.
All right.
These people talking about going to the market to share money, in fact, that is a caricature of economics. I think that was vote buying. I do not agree that that is part of solving any problem, because you can see that they are no longer doing that. So it means that during elections, they will now, so that is out of. We are into economic hardcore. This one is, they call it metal jacket of economy. They have come to the point where Mr. President have also realized that his name have to be written in gold or in a particular place, so that at the end of the day, he will now look back. Okay. So whether he will implement the advice or another, but we now have a reservoir of ideas waiting to be tapped.
All right, Comrade Ken Afoma, in your opinion, what should be the direction of this advisory committee? What kind of policy should they push towards the president that will help really rejig the economy and really get it down to the people who are feeling the bite of the hard times in the country?
Thank you very much. They should generally advise the president on the economy, and also the living standard, things that should be done to improve the living standard of not all about growing the GDP and all that. What about the living standard? What about even the salary of workers, the living wage for the labor? What about the other key sectors that has the capacity to jumpstart the economy, the power sector? What What about other micro and macroeconomic policies that will stabilize the economy? What about all these import policies, exclusion of some items from importation or increasing tariff on such items? They have to weigh all these policies and then come up with appropriate regime and advise the government appropriately. Because what we've been experiencing in the last 4 or 5 years is staccato economic policy, where the president wakes up and directs the central bank governor what to do, which people say it shouldn't be. The CBN should be semi-independent, only report to the president. You don't direct them. It gives bad impression even to foreign investors that you don't have an independent central CBN that can coordinate the monetary policy of the government. And so I'm not an economist, but everybody knows that the economy is bad. So we know the caliber of people there, particularly those we already know, like Professor Soludo. It was because of him that Nigeria escaped the recession in 2007, 2008. Because of his consolidation, earlier consolidation of the Nigerian banking sector. If he had not done that, as if he saw the world recession coming, Nigeria would have fallen. But Nigeria escaped it in 2007, if you recall, because of the good work he did. So let them come back and do that. But again, like we said, it is about the implementation. I hope that in time to come, apart from briefing the president on a quarterly basis, the committee, the council will also have interface with the ministers, particularly the Minister of Finance, who will also help, and of course the governor of the central bank, who will also help to bring in this advice into practice.
Yeah, but
they put execute the advice.
The council, have they been put together? Have they been inaugurated? Their names were just announced.
Yes, but we expect
would you know whether all of them accepted to be part of
for
that
now? Nobody. For now, as we are speaking now, nobody has rejected that, and I don't think anybody will. It's a call to service. That's the way I look at it. Even some people are saying, they will rubbish you, and they want to use these people to shine, to bring credibility on this. I wouldn't want to toe that line. Yes, Nigeria does not belong to President Buhari alone or to APC. It belongs to all of us. So at any point, even those of us who are criticizing, if you call me to serve, I will serve. But I would like to prove that this is what I have been saying and this is the way it should be done. So these people should accept that as a service to the fatherland and do their best. Let the people see that they have done their best, but it is the implementation, so that nobody will blame them tomorrow.
Yes, Dr. Austin Okwili, in 1.5 minutes, a lot of people worry about the chain of command and communication within the villa. Who do you talk to? You have to talk to the chief of staff. You have to talk to secretary to the government of the federation. Now, two of you have raised the issue here that if that is the case, then there will be a little watering down of whatever has been transmitted. Do you see a situation where the advisory committee will have direct access to the president, or will the lot of the ministers also be folded?
Yeah, I think the challenge should be the breaking down of those information coming on board with, to break them down to the point of understanding. Because if you do not take time, you might come up with a lot of humongous technical jargons that even Mr. President can get confused. But I think that maybe they have aligned themselves in such a way as to receive, digest, assimilate, and implement. There's no way anybody can guarantee 100% whatever advice we bring will be implemented. But let us have the reservoir. Let us have a kind of overflowing, information that will be needed. What I think we needed there, like I mentioned earlier, is coordination. I don't think. I don't know the position of the vice president now. I don't even know who is the economic advisor, because somebody should be a coordinating house, whereby all these advices, both from the fiscal, both from the monetary, both from the advices coming direct to the president. Your question whether they should interface. Mr. President have already made it clear that you have direct contact, but that is not where it ends. Sometimes it's not a rocket science, but sometimes you need to break it down to the point where Mr. President has a lot of issues where he'll be able to get the critical ingredients that is needed. That linking, I don't even know whether the Chief of Staff will be able to do that, because this is purely technical and economic issues. I guess the Chief of Staff was a former military officer. So I think the issue now is we need a coordinator of economy. That is one. Two, the issue Ken mentioned, the issue of the macroeconomic policies, like the demand and supply, the price mechanisms, the minimum wage issue, to reflect the economy, to pump money and to strengthen our foreign our naira power, because naira is even though stabilized, but it is still devalued. All so right. Naira need to be strengthened. If I were members of this government, I would do something to strengthen naira instead of even paying a minimum wage, because even if you pay more money and with no value, it comes back to a square nut.
All right, that direction you're heading, a lot of people will not be worried why you're saying that. Comrade,
they will understand.
In 40 seconds.
Yes, I don't think there will be a problem in terms of the committee or council having access to the president. The president has already said it, that there will be quarterly scheduled meeting. And I believe he will, in such a meeting, they will not be briefing the president alone. The president may be inviting people like Governor of the Central Bank, somebody like Minister of Finance, to also be part of the meeting, so that they will take that. And I also trust this council that they're going to break their recommendations down. They are even going to, just like you remember the committee on reform of the Electoral Act, headed by Mohammed Uwais in the past. After the committee did a good work, to the extent of, apart from recommending, they even drafted a bill and gave to the president that you send to the National Assembly. So I believe that this committee will also do that. Not only that, they will give advice, they will even recommend number 1, 2, 3 advice. This is the ministry or agency that should implement. Number 3, 4, 5. This is the agency that should. So I think they're going to break it down.
Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Augustine Okoli, policy management consultant and political analyst. Thank you for your time and thoughts.
Thank you, Alex. It's my pleasure.
And Comrade Ken Ofoma, Secretary NUJ Southeast Zone, and our political analyst. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Input. And special thanks to my producer, Oke Odogu. My name is Alex Obodo. The Dream FM News comes up at 10. Good morning.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Banky W, and let me be the first to tell you that the power forward for the next level.